How is the house coming along?
It is finally done.
It is done?
I am dying for Bravo to have me back for another season because I feel like people need to see I do not live in this mausoleum of emptiness. My house is finally almost all the way done. We have furniture, I have art on the walls. It's not like, hello, 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 in this empty house anymore.
Yes. Yeah. What did you make of Heather kind of digging on your home a little bit?
Heather? I have never been in Heather's house, so I cannot return the compliment or lack of. You know what? It was fair. I was out of control, busy that day. I had a new puppy. It was snowing. And totally on me. If the camera crews caught the poop in my house, I would have showed them if I was production too.
Were you mortified at that moment?
Mortified. Okay. I did not know until I saw the episode. So, and my daughter is kind of the dog whisperer in our house, and she came to me when she saw the episode, and she was like, I am so embarrassed. Our house is so clean. How could this be what it looks like? And I was like, well, I guess that's what it was that day. But also, I understand. Heather and I were not friends. We were not in a great place. We had a very rough conversation that day. I might have been shady about anything I could have been if I was Heather too. And I gave her good reason. There was dog poop on my floor. My house was being remodeled. Yeah. Heather didn't miss it. She didn't miss an opportunity.
She didn't miss an opportunity, definitely.
Yes.
How does Todd feel about all this? Because does he's
good.
Regret?
I don't think Todd regrets it. Todd's not deeply involved in like the social media of it all.
Yes.
And Todd is really good about what it feels like to him. It felt right to him to say, this conversation has to stop. And our marriage feels really good to him. So I don't think Todd really cares what it looks like to anybody else. And that's a good reminder for me that I'm very happy with Todd. And everyone else can see that or not see that or wish they were me or not wish they were me. They should wish they were me. I'm in a great marriage. I love my relationship. And I'm really happy. Todd and I are very different people, and together it's kind of a super team. We have different skill sets, we have different weaknesses, and they balance each other out, and it's a good partnership.
As you see, a lot of people have a lot of opinions about your marriage. I think like Lisa called you a gold digger in the after show.
Who has not called me a gold digger yet?
Yes, Heather says...
This is low-hanging fruit. We're going to need a different insult.
Heather says that like you can't marry for... What did she say? I just don't... I don't want to...
She said you can't marry for
if
love.
You're smart and driven.
Yeah, if you're smart and driven. I saw that. I have a great therapist Heather can talk to, because I would love for Heather to have a whole second romantic life for herself. I think that might speak more about Heather's feelings about her divorce than it does about my marriage.
And I think Meredith said that I don't know, that you were unsettled, I think, in your...
She said there was tension in my marriage. And I don't want to shade anyone else's marriage because I don't like them shading mine. But I am interested in Brittany, Heather, and Meredith, of all people, talking about someone else's marriage. We got two who are not, have not been, have been divorced, have struggled, and one who's had some up and downs. So we should tend to our own grass before we worry about what Bronwyn's grass looks like.
Well, I think you posted on Instagram too that it was unfortunate that during that anniversary trip you weren't shown the love that you and Todd have because there was so much drama going on.
Yeah, there was a lot of other stuff going on, and Todd is just not somebody who's going to gravitate towards being on camera. And I have really learned a lot about myself. I have a lot of anxiety, and being on the show is really fixing some of that for me. You cannot be thin-skinned. You cannot be worried about what people think about you. But I do look back and I see a really fragile version of myself when I do this, like holding my chest or I'm wringing my hands. I do a lot of self-depreciating humor. And I'm realizing as I watch it back that I think that's this way of protecting something or deflecting or trying to make it easy for everyone. You see a lot of me being like, oh, it's not Lisa's fault and it's not so-and-so's fault. And I see in myself in that moment that I really needed to stand up for myself and just be like, I'm very confident in what I have. I'm learning that trying to change how people feel about me or my marriage just kind of makes what people feel about me and my marriage worse. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's
and
true.
Not even worse, but totally mischaracterized. I'm very happy, so.
Yeah. Are you hopeful about your relationship with Lisa?
Right now, Lisa and I do not have a relationship, but I'm still hopeful about it. Is that weird? Heather and I are in a better place than Lisa and I? I mean, there's a lot of story to come, obviously, still. I have a harder time with some of the things that go on with Lisa because we were friends before. You'll definitely see over the course of the season the two of us figuring out what our friendship looks like inside a group of friends, not just as individuals. And I think that's what makes this season so interesting. In other seasons, as I've watched back, it's almost like a whodunit, right?
Sure.
Who was Reality Von Tease, and was Jen guilty, and those kind of things. Whereas this season, I think, is really about friendships and what you look for in a friendship and what you give in a friendship. And do you have to give and receive the same things? Does it have to be shown the same way? So I'm really invested in, I mean, as a woman with lots of different women in my life, it was really interesting to explore what those things look like.
Do you feel like Lisa is a different person on the show than she was prior to your...
I don't think so. I really don't. I just did another interview last week, and they had me say one word about all of the girls, and I said authentic for Lisa. I don't think Lisa is different on camera than she is off camera. I think we knew each other in a different way. And I think Lisa expected something of me as I came into the group as her friend, introduced to her other friends. And I think we missed each other early on. I kind of expected her to really kind of be my girl. And when she wasn't, I took a big step back and was like, okay, well, if you don't have my back, I'm going to have my own back first. I also think for me in a friendship, I really value when someone can tell me when I'm wrong lovingly, and not everybody loves that. So I'm happy to tell the other girls when I think they're wrong. I might be too happy to tell them when I think they're wrong. So they're either going to have to get used to that, or I'm going to have to take it down a notch. We'll see.
What did you make of the coach meltdown?
I mean, I have a coach bag. I have a couple coach bags. I was kind of surprised. No, I don't. Nobody loves to fly coach, especially if someone else is paying. I would be like, get me the best seat on the plane. Of course, I would expect that. There was just not enough seats for everybody. I did put Brittany and Heather in first class with my husband and I felt like that was the best way to fix it with them too. And when I canceled their flights, those were gone. So of course I wasn't going to put one couple in first class and the others in the back. I wish in hindsight, I did tell the girls, Todd and I will switch with one of you, but only one person can switch with Todd and I. And I wish I'd been a little more adamant about, fine, just take our seats, let's just end it. But it's also kind of hilarious to me that she thinks that she deserves to switch seats with Todd and I. And then not even, if it had been on the way there when everything was kosher, sure. But she is really upset Todd. I yelled at her in the hot tub. And then for her to be like, I would like your first class seat. Absolutely not. Not now. Not now. Maybe the Lisa I know 3 weeks ago.
What did you make of Mary saying in the after show that if you fly there private, you have to fly back private?
Honestly, I agree with Mary. We should have just flown the women back private and there would have been no conversation about it. I don't know if they like earned a private plane out of me and my husband twice. And it just wasn't what we were doing. Meredith was going somewhere else. Seth was going to Ohio. We didn't need a plane. I mean, I'm not the most environmentally friendly person, but it's not. It's ridiculous to take a plane if we don't need one. But I do like the shade of Mary when she wasn't even there, Mary. And also, I love that she followed up with saying, "But also, I wouldn't ever get these women a plane one way or two ways." And maybe I might need to.
I was going to say,
I might need to get on Mary's plan. No more planes for me.
No more planes for you. I mean, we do see in the mid-season trailer that you do say that you're gonna, there's some real shit that you and Todd went through. And can you give any context about what we're gonna see?
Yeah, I mean, you will see a real. I share with the ladies some very tricky things. There are things that I felt like they needed to understand about me. There's a lot of conversation about my marriage and about my husband and about how he and I relate to each other. And all along, I felt like so much of it was not true, what was being said. So I think I finally just kind of had this emotional vomit of like, if we're going to talk about my marriage, let's actually talk about my marriage and let's get to know each other and I will be vulnerable with you. And I think that's something I've really learned too about myself is it took me a long time to open up to the ladies. I had a lot of feelings about them while I was not sharing very much. And that's maybe not a fair give and take in a friendship.
Well, it's got to be hard coming into this new group, cameras all around. What do I share? What do I do?
Tight friends. I was very much, one of these things was not like the other, as Sesame Street says, from the beginning.
Has your daughter met with her father's family?
Not yet. I'm always hopeful that works out for all of them. As much as I can be gracious towards them, I think it would be life-changing for them to meet her. She is truly phenomenal. They deserve to have a relationship with her, and that's about as nice as I can say about them. For my daughter's side, she deserves all the love and support and family she can have, and I would love for them to really step up and be the kind of support system and family she deserves.
Has there been any communication?
We have talked to them a little bit, and we're at a place where it's really for my daughter to do now, and it's really for her to figure out. I never want to speak about her family's story, and I'm careful as I discuss my part in it that I don't overstep on my daughters also. But she is old enough, and we've really talked, and she's talked about it on TV now, and I think it's in a place where she's ready to handle it for herself. And she might be ready for the next evolution of Housewives, because she says cheeky little things to me like, I'm still thinking about it, but it's not going to take me 18 years to think about it. So, I mean, she's a shade monster.
She's a shade monster.
Also.
Yeah.
Yes, she is. Yeah. She can dish it. She's going to be just fine.
She's going to be just fine.
She can handle herself.
Yeah, but like you said before, that had to be something that, obviously you've been dealing with this for, 18 years, but to have that come out on camera, and that had to be very heavy.
Yeah, it was really heavy, and I think that's a big part of my struggle in this group of friends also, is there's this idea almost right from the beginning of, can we trust Bronwyn, and is Bronwyn who she says she is? And that was new for me, to have people question that about me. And on top of that, I'm kind of reliving this very traumatic thing that happened to me, in which maybe I don't trust anyone because of this. So it's this very meta feeling of this thing that's caused all my trust issues is being discussed in a group of women who aren't sure they trust me. And like, that's a really, I almost need like a flow chart to keep up with that. So it was a very odd way to interact with these women. But for better or worse, I can say they kind of know everything about me now.
Right, yes,
so
it's all out
they
there.
want to be friends with me now. They really want to be friends with me.
Sure,
and if they don't, then I guess they're really refusing me, because they know everything now.
What can you kind of tease about this second half of the season? We see like there's a recording device in Meredith's room. This trip looks explosive. What can you kind of give us?
There is so much still to come. So in the preview, it's kind of very heavily focused on this trip. We have a lot before we even get on this trip. And I think the exciting thing about the second half of this season for me is there's so much fun that we still have coming. I think one of the coolest things, I've watched a lot of the Housewives cities in Salt Lake, is that we really do have fun together. And there's this level of silliness and camp and ridiculousness that I really enjoy being a part of. And I love watching the other ladies enjoy their friendships. So you're going to see a lot of that. And yeah, we go into the trip all in, I would say, from where you've last seen us in Palm Springs to when we go on this last trip, every friendship is different. So we have a lot to come still. And then that trip is very explosive.
Very explosive. It feels like the Lisa and Whitney friendship might be done at this point.
I read the same interviews that you probably read, and they are spicy about each other, so we'll see. I don't know.
We'll see.
I always hope the best for everyone.
Yes.
But sometimes I'm like, ooh, girl, don't say that. I'm going to come back from that.
Yes. Reunion probably right around the corner. Are you already starting to think about looks?
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Before I even knew if they were going to like edit me out of the show, when we were filming, I was like, what would I wear to the reunion? And how would I encapsulate this crazy experience?
Cannot wait. Is there one thing that you really want to clear up at the reunion that you didn't get closure on this season?
I don't think it's about closure necessarily, but there are, I would love to see if there's a path to resolution for Lisa and I. We're currently not speaking. That's the best for both of us right now. We need a little, time out from each other. I feel like there's nothing so deep that I've done to Lisa that we can't repair things, and that is my goal. I'd like to repair things. We've been friends a long time. Whatever version of friendship Lisa's open to with me at the reunion, I am open to. But I also know I have like a spicy side, so I hope it goes well right from the beginning. Because if it doesn't, people go too far and I go to the moon.
Right, totally.
Yeah, we're gonna have to keep that together.